It started on a Tuesday. Rainy, quiet, just me and the usual chaos of laundry baskets, school lunches, and a marriage that had begun to feel more like co-parenting than a love story. My husband, Daniel, was away on yet another business trip. Third one that month, he barely kissed my cheek goodbye, let alone noticed that I hadn't said I love you in 3 days. I wasn't even sure he'd noticed. But Noah did. Noah, Daniel's younger brother, had offered to come by and help fix the leaking bathroom tap while Dan was gone. Just for a bit, he said. Don't want the house flooding on you. He stayed longer than he needed to. He joked with the kids, made them laugh so hard they choked on cereal. And when I brought him a glass of water, our fingers brushed just briefly, but long enough to stir something. That night, after the kids had gone to bed and the house was still, I found it. A folded note on my pillow. My heart stopped. My name was on it, just my name, written in his familiar, messy handwriting. I opened it, my hands shaking. You looked beautiful today. I don't think you even realize when you're glowing, but you were. Just wanted you to know that someone sees you. Then, I sat on the edge of the bed, breath caught in my throat. I read it 5 times. It wasn't just a compliment. It was personal, intimate, dangerous. I should have been furious, but I wasn't. I slept with the note under my pillow that night. The next time he came over, I couldn't look him in the eye, not at first. But he smiled at me, like he hadn't left a loaded confession on my bed. Like he hadn't unraveled a part of me I didn't even know was still alive. He made small talk, laughed with the kids again, stayed a little too long. And when he left, I went straight to the bedroom. Another note. This one was tucked under the pillow. You tucked your hair behind your ear today. You do that when you're nervous. I hope it's not because of me. But if it is, I'm sorry, and also I'm not. Then, my legs went weak. I stared at the door like I expected him to walk back in and say it out loud. But he didn't. And I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell anyone. Because no one had made me feel that scene in years. It didn't take long before I was leaving notes back. Short ones, light, safe, but flirtatious. Folded scraps of paper tucked into the coffee jar. Slipped under his phone. We never spoke about them. But we both read every word like they were sacred. One day, I burned a pan in the kitchen because he stood too close behind me. Breathing the same air, his hand brushing the small of my back, I dropped the spatula. He caught it and caught my eyes. Neither of us looked away. You should go, I whispered. I know, he said, but he didn't move. His fingers trailed down my arm, and I swear my skin lit up like fireflies in July. He leaned in, slowly, gently, my breath hitched. And then, Mom, my daughter's voice rang from upstairs. We pulled apart like lightning had struck between us. He left that night without another word. But the next morning, I found a final note. If she hadn't called you, I would have kissed you. And I don't think I would have stopped. Daniel came home that night. He hugged me like he always did. Brief, distracted, cold. And that's when I realized. Noah hadn't made me feel something I wasn't supposed to feel. He reminded me that I'd been numb for too long. That night, I didn't find a note. And I missed it. More than I missed anything Daniel ever stopped doing. I lay in bed thinking of Noah. His eyes, his restraint, the kiss that almost was, and the love letter he was too respectful to ever say aloud. Until I told him he could. It was a Saturday, one of those lazy spring afternoons that made everything feel slower, softer, like the world was holding its breath. Daniel had taken the kids to his mother's for the weekend. You could use the rest, he said flatly. More out of routine than care. I didn't argue, I just nodded and watched them drive away. And within an hour, Noah was at my door. He didn't knock this time, he had a key. Given years ago for emergencies, maybe this counted. He stepped inside like he belonged there. Like he knew I wouldn't send him away. Neither of us spoke. The tension was too loud to cut with words. He walked toward me slowly, and I swear my knees threatened to give out. He didn't touch me, not yet, just looked at me like he was memorizing everything. You didn't leave a note last time, I whispered, breath shaky. I was scared, he said honestly, that it was becoming too real. It already is. And that was it. He kissed me. Not like I expected. Not rushed, not wild. But tender, deep. A kiss that spoke of restraint breaking after years of silent want. His hands cupped my face, mine clutched his shirt like I might float away. And when we finally pulled apart, both breathless, he leaned his forehead against mine. I don't want to be a secret anymore, he said softly. Tears welled in my eyes, then let's stop hiding. He stared at me. Are you saying? I'm saying I'm choosing me this time. I want to feel, I want to live, and I want this. He kissed me again, this time with a hunger that left no doubt. In that moment, I wasn't a wife. I wasn't a mother. I was just a woman, finally seen. Finally loved, finally awake. And I didn't want to close my eyes again. I spent the next 2 days writing it. Every word poured out of me like I had been holding my breath for years. I didn't write to blame. I didn't write to accuse. I wrote to finally be heard. The letter wasn't long, but it was honest. I told Daniel how I had spent years shrinking myself to keep our marriage alive, how I smiled through loneliness, celebrated anniversaries alone, and carried the weight of love he stopped showing up for. I didn't mention Noah's name. This wasn't about betrayal. It was about the truth. I had become invisible in my own home, and I was done pretending that was okay. I folded the letter in half and placed it on the kitchen table, right next to the mug Daniel used every morning. I stood there for a long moment, breathing in the silence. The walls of our house felt hollow, like they knew goodbye was lingering in the corners. Then I grabbed my bag. I didn't cry. I didn't second guess it, because loving someone else didn't break my marriage, being forgotten did. Noah opened the door before I even knocked. He had that look in his eyes again, the one that made me feel like the most beautiful, complicated thing he'd ever wanted. I walked in. He didn't ask any questions. He didn't need to. He just pulled me close, held me like I was made of something fragile and fierce, and whispered into my hair, "No more notes, I'm here now, all in's no hiding." I nodded, burying my face in his chest. "I'm scared." "So am I," he said, "but this time we're scared together." And just like that, the weight I'd carried for years slipped off my shoulders. Because for the first time, I had chosen a love that chose me back.